The wind cut sharp through the narrow alley behind my parents' antique shop as I clutched a manila envelope full of evidence against my sister. My breath came out in pale puffs, my fingers stiff from gripping the papers that I thought would finally clear my name. I had no idea that by the end of this day, I'd be homeless, accused of theft, and completely disowned. My name is Lily Avery. I'm 23, a graduate student in business analytics at a modest community college in New Jersey. For the past 2 years, I've worked back-to-back shifts as a data clerk at a logistics warehouse by day and as a part-time server at a Mediterranean cafe by night. Every month, without fail, I sent $300 to help my parents, George and Elise Avery, with their mounting bills. When Dad's arthritis forced him to retire from managing the shop, things got tight. I didn't think twice about helping. But my sister did. Chloe, the golden child, the one who could do no wrong, the one with the gleaming smile and curated Instagram presence, found a way to twist my sacrifices into her own redemption arc. She had always known how to get our parents on her side. They saw her as dazzling, brilliant, full of potential. Me? I was the dependable one. The invisible one. I stood in the small, cluttered kitchen of their townhouse, the envelope now bent from my tight grasp. My mother stood at the opposite counter, her arms crossed, face set in the stormy glare. My father was seated at the kitchen table, staring down at the checker tablecloth like it held the answers to all of life's mysteries. "She's lying," I shouted, heart thudding. "I've been sending you money every month, and she's been taking credit for it. Not only that, she's been siphoning more money behind your backs. I have proof. Just look." "I've heard enough, Lily," Mom snapped, her voice slicing through the air. "Why can't you just admit what you've done? Chloe has been honest with us from the beginning." "Honest?" I laughed bitterly. "She's been gambling away your savings and now she's framing me. You've always been jealous of her." My father finally spoke, but his tone was dull, as if exhausted from even having to say the words. "And now you're willing to smear her name? Jealousy. The oldest accusation in the family playbook." "She showed us the texts, Lily," my mother added, pulling her cardigan tighter. "The ones where you apparently admitted to borrowing from us without permission." My mouth went dry. "What texts?" "She says you used her phone once, months ago, and now she has the messages backed up." Mom crossed the room and pointed to the door. "Leave. Now. Before we call the police." I stood frozen. The air was thick with the scent of stale cinnamon from the burner potpourri and the burning shame in my chest. I slowly lowered the envelope onto the table. Neither of them reached for it. I turned and walked out the front door with tears stinging my eyes, the walls of my childhood home closing behind me with a final, heavy thud. It was December 22nd. 3 days before Christmas. As I climbed into my aging Nissan Sentra, the phone buzzed in my coat pocket. A message from Dad. "You're cut off. No more support. If you want forgiveness, return what you took and apologize to Chloe." The screen dimmed as my frozen breath fogged the inside of the windshield. My hands shook as I set the phone down. "Return what I took?" I whispered to the empty car. "I didn't take anything. I had maybe $500 to my name after tuition, rent, groceries, and gas. The part-time jobs barely covered my basic survival. My parents didn't know the struggle because I'd never told them. I didn't want to add stress. Now I was not only being denied support, I was being blamed for someone else's mess." Before I pulled away, I glanced back through the frost-dusted living room window. Chloe was there, wrapping an arm around Mom like a stage actress in a bad soap opera. But something about her face was off. Not smug. Not triumphant. She looked panicked. Her thumbs flew across her phone, typing furiously before she quickly shoved it into her pocket as Dad walked in. A chill colder than the wind crept into my gut. That wasn't the face of someone who just won. That was the face of someone who was scrambling. "What are you hiding, Chloe?" Growing up with Chloe was like living in the shadow of a stained glass window. Everyone else saw the light shine through, colorful, magical, but from behind it, where I stood, all I ever saw was a warped reflection of myself. She was always on stage, always center of the family photos, and always, somehow, just fragile enough to need saving, right after causing chaos. In middle school, she blamed me for breaking our cousin's Nintendo DS. I was grounded for a month. In high school, she accidentally submitted my essay as her own and won a local scholarship. I didn't say anything. I never did. Until now. I parked in the lot behind my apartment building and trudged up the rickety stairwell to the third floor. My roommate, Zara, Sat on the couch eating instant ramen with chopsticks. Holy hell, what happened to you? She asked as I walked in. They think I stole from them, I murmured, pulling off my boots. They're cutting me off. And Chloe. She fabricated texts. Said I confessed. She didn't, Zara said instantly. I know. But they won't even look at my evidence. Zara lowered her bowl. What if we flip the script? I raised a brow. Meaning? She's lying and covering something up. That look you described, pure panic? That's guilt, Lily. You need something she can't explain away. Something they can't ignore. A long silence hung between us. I sank onto the floor beside the coffee table and stared at the untouched folder in my lap. The evidence was real, but it wasn't enough. Chloe had already poisoned the well. I needed to change the narrative, not just defend myself, but prove who she really was. What's the one thing Chloe loves more than herself? I asked slowly. Zara smirked. Attention. But close second? Money. She's been flaunting new outfits and gadgets all semester, I muttered. And she's always broke. She even asked to borrow my car a few weeks ago. Late at night. A pause. Lily, Zara said, narrowing her eyes. Didn't you mention finding a club flyer in her bag? Something with lights and chips? Yeah, I nodded. Fox Run Casino. But she said she just went there for drinks with a friend. Zara leaned forward. What if that's the key? What if she's got a gambling problem? The thought slammed into me like a wrecking ball. Everything fit. The secretiveness. The erratic spending. The lies. The panic. And now she was stealing, from our parents, maybe from me, and turning me into her personal scapegoat. I looked up at Zara, fire rekindling in my chest. Then it's time I paid Fox Run Casino a visit. The neon glow of Fox Run Casino bled into the night like a siren's call for the desperate. It stood tall on the edge of Meadowview, tucked between an abandoned textile factory and a half-shuttered strip mall. It wasn't the kind of place my family would ever admit someone like Chloe frequented, too grimy, too real. But I had a gut feeling that behind its glittering lights, I'd find the answers I needed. I stepped through the main doors and was immediately greeted by the synthetic jingle of slot machines and a stale cocktail of perfume, cigarette smoke, and desperation. It was a weekday evening, but the place buzzed with life. Old men hunched over poker tables, tourists clutched onto hopes of doubling their last $20, and cocktail servers in cheap heels weaved through the crowd like shadows. I wasn't sure what I was looking for exactly. Chloe obviously wouldn't be here tonight, not after what happened earlier. But maybe someone would recognize her. Maybe there were records. I headed for the player rewards counter. Hi, I said, trying to sound casual. My sister, Chloe Avery, comes here a lot. I'm trying to find her, long story. Is there any way to check if she's been here this week? The man behind the counter wore a name tag that said Luis, and he gave me a once-over filled with corporate disinterest. Sorry, ma'am. We can't share member info unless you're on the account or there's a legal request. I get it, I said, lowering my voice. But I think she's in trouble. Gambling more than she can afford. Using stolen cards. Maybe even mine. Luis stiffened slightly, eyes narrowing. You say she might be using credit cards that aren't hers? Yes. My parents and mine. I have statements. I pulled out the envelope I'd carried since yesterday and unfolded the most relevant pages, credit charges, bank statements, a screenshot of my drained account. I didn't know if it would help, but I had to try. Luis hesitated. Then he called someone on a walkie clip to his vest. A few minutes later, a woman in a navy blue suit approached. I'm Marcia, security supervisor. Why don't we step into the office? Inside a small, windowless room filled with dusty monitors and a hum of electronics, I laid everything out again. Marcia listened intently, flipping through the evidence. Her expression shifted when I pointed out my name on credit cards I never opened. We flagged a guest recently for high-volume play tied to multiple cards under different names, she said slowly. That name, Chloe Avery, was one of them. We've been building a case for a fraud report. My chest tightened. So you know she's been using fake or stolen identities? We suspect it, she said. We've got security footage of her accessing ATMs, buying in at high-stakes tables, and applying for casino credit under multiple identities. If what you're telling us is true, she's not just addicted, she's committing felony-level fraud. I blinked, stunned. Can I get a copy of that footage? We can't release it directly to you, Marcia said. But if you file an official fraud report and provide us with a contact, police or lawyer, We'll share everything we have. I nodded, barely breathing. Okay. I'll do that. Today. As I gathered my papers, she added, "You're doing the right thing, you know. It's not easy, turning in family." "I'm not doing this to punish her," I said, voice low. "I'm doing it to stop her before she ruins more than just me." That night, back in my apartment, I called the non-emergency police line. I filed a fraud report and identity theft complaint, attaching every document, every detail. Then I called the credit bureaus and froze my accounts. I wasn't just cleaning up Chloe's mess anymore, I was protecting the future she nearly stole from me. The final piece? A plan. I would gather everything, official reports, timestamps, casino logs, and then show my parents something they couldn't deny. They wouldn't believe my words. But they might believe her on camera, using my name to cash out at a poker table. The next time we spoke would be the last time Chloe could ever lie in our parents' name. For 3 days, I heard nothing. Not from the casino. Not from the police. And definitely not from my parents. I went to class, worked my shifts, and avoided checking my bank account. What was the point? My rent check had already bounced. Every time my phone buzzed, I hoped it was someone saying "we believe you now," but instead it was email spam, group chat notifications, or Jessica asking if I wanted ramen for dinner. On the 4th day, something changed. That morning, I got an envelope in the mail. No return address, but my name was scribbled on the front in a familiar slanted handwriting. Inside was a letter. Just 1 page, torn from a spiral notebook, written in blue ink. "Rebecca. I don't know how much you know. But please stop. If you keep pushing this, it's going to ruin everything. I swear I didn't mean for it to get this bad. It was supposed to be temporary. I just needed a way to catch up. I had it under control, until I didn't. I'll pay you back. I'll fix it. Just don't go to Mom and Dad. Please. They won't understand. They'll hate me. I'm sorry. Really. I just wanted to be the one they were proud of for once." See, I stared at the letter for a long time, not knowing whether to scream or cry. It wasn't an apology. It was damage control. Guilt disguised as remorse. But it was also a confession. A few hours later, I received a call from Officer Malcolm, the detective assigned to my case. "We've reviewed the documents and casino reports," he said. "It's substantial. And it looks like your sister's been doing this for a while." My heart thumped in my chest. Will she be arrested? Eventually. But this goes deeper than just a few credit card charges. She used your identity, forged signatures, opened fraudulent lines of credit. That's identity theft, wire fraud, potentially mail fraud, depending on how she processed the applications. "And my parents?" I asked quietly. "That's trickier. We can't force them to believe you. But we can send them a formal letter confirming the investigation, if you think that would help." I almost said yes. But then I hesitated. "No," I said slowly. "I think I want to show them myself." The idea came to me that night. Jessica and I were sitting on the floor of our apartment, surrounded by folders, printed emails, and copies of police statements. I watched her re-alphabetize our file tabs with the precision of a librarian on Red Bull. "What if we don't just tell them?" I said suddenly. "What if we show them?" Jessica looked up. "Like how?" I opened my laptop, pulled up the video footage Officer Malcolm had shared with me. It was blurry, grainy, but unmistakable. Chloe. Wearing my old college hoodie. Using a card at a casino ATM. Moments later, she was at the blackjack table, laughing with the dealer like this was the most natural thing in the world. I hit pause and looked at Jessica. "What if we invite them to watch this? You think they'll show up?" "I don't know. But I know where they'll be Sunday night." That Sunday, I parked across the street from our old church. The same red brick building I'd spent every Sunday morning in until I left for college. My parents still attended the evening service. Predictable as ever. I waited until they walked inside, then slid a sealed envelope under the windshield wiper of their car. Inside was a note. "Mom. Dad. I know you don't want to hear from me. But this time, don't listen to my words. Just watch what I'm giving you. The truth isn't what you've been told. And once you see it, really see it, I hope you'll come find me. USB drive included. Video footage from the casino. Bank statements. The letter she sent me. Love, Rebecca." I didn't sleep that night. I lay awake staring at the ceiling, wondering if they'd open the envelope. Wondering if they'd watch the video. wondering if Chloe had already twisted some new story to preemptively undo what I tried to share. But the next morning, my phone rang. Unknown caller. I answered with a shaking hand. Rebecca. It was my father. His voice cracked. Your mother and I. We watched it. Everything. We didn't want to believe it. But we saw it. The video. The records. The letter. He paused. Your sister is not who we thought she was. I didn't respond. Couldn't. My throat felt locked. She's not answering our calls now. But we know where she is. We're going to talk to her. Get her help. But I needed to tell you first. We're so sorry. We failed you. I took a breath. I didn't want to destroy her, Dad. I just didn't want to be the villain anymore. I know. We know that now. There was silence. Then he added, would you come by tonight? Please. Your mom made your favorite. She wants to talk. We both do. That evening, I sat at the dinner table for the first time in months. It wasn't a celebration. No one was smiling. But it was honest. My parents listened, really listened, as I told them everything. About the money I'd sent. The jobs. The stress. The lies. Chloe's gambling. Her manipulations. The eviction notice. My ruined credit. They apologized over and over. But I didn't need more apologies. I just needed to be believed. And now, finally, I was. The following day, the world felt muted. Not peaceful, just quieter. As if the storm had passed, but the air was still thick with the scent of rain and broken branches. I woke up in my old bedroom, staring at the same glow-in-the-dark stars I'd stuck to the ceiling when I was 10. A little faded now. Like everything else. Downstairs, the clink of plates and low murmur of my parents' voices reminded me that, for better or worse, I was home again. Temporarily. I dressed, brushed my hair, and walked into the kitchen where my mom was making toast she hadn't offered yet. My dad sat at the table sipping black coffee like always, but his eyes followed me in a way they never used to. Good morning, Mom said, awkwardly. Morning, I replied. She slid a plate toward me. I made your favorite. Cinnamon toast. The last time she made this, I was in high school, crying after Olivia crashed my prom car and blamed it on a parking lot hit and run. I took a bite. It tasted the same. My dad cleared his throat. We've spoken with Detective Malcolm. He said there's enough for the DA to press charges. I set the toast down. Against Olivia? Yes. He looked pale. But he asked if you wanted to push for prosecution or try a diversion program, rehab and restitution, supervised by the court. Mom chimed in. We know what she did was unforgivable. But she's still your sister. We thought maybe she could get help. Help. That word felt thin and hollow after everything I'd endured. She had every chance to stop, I said quietly. And instead she stole more. Lied more. Hurt more. I know, Mom whispered. But it's also clear she needs treatment. Then let her earn it, I said. She can go to court, face the consequences, and ask for rehab herself. I'm not standing in the way, but I'm not shielding her either. Dad nodded slowly. That's fair. I took a long breath. I just want my life back. I want my name cleared. My credit repaired. My education finished. And we're going to help with all of that, Mom said quickly. We already called the bank. We'll co-sign a statement confirming you didn't open those cards. We're talking to the landlord about your rent situation. And we're going to pay back every dollar she took from you. Her voice cracked. I promise, Rebecca, we are going to make this right. That word again. Right. It wouldn't undo the humiliation, the eviction, or the nights I sobbed into Jessica's shoulder thinking I was completely alone. But it was something. And for now, I'd take something. The next few weeks passed in a blur of paperwork and phone calls. Credit repair agencies. Identity theft affidavits. Police interviews. Court prep. I'd become something of a professional in damage control. In the midst of it all, I returned to work and managed to re-enroll for the spring semester, with a scholarship covering what my parents could no longer afford. Jessica helped me find a new apartment, and I moved in with 2 other girls from campus. Not the nicest place, but it was mine. And it was safe. Every so often, my parents updated me on Olivia. She'd been arrested but released under a pre-trial program that required therapy, financial oversight, and community service. Her social media had vanished overnight. Her college enrollment was paused indefinitely. She reached out once. A text. I don't expect you to forgive me. But I'm sorry. I really am. I didn't respond. Maybe someday, I'd find space to process what she'd done. But not yet. She didn't just steal money, she stole my place in our family. My voice. My trust. Some wounds aren't healed with apologies. They heal with time. With action. With truth. By mid-March, I received a letter from one of the credit card companies confirming the fraudulent accounts had been closed and wouldn't impact my score. It was the first real weight lifted off my shoulders. I celebrated with Thai takeout and a pint of cookie dough ice cream on the couch, alone. It felt good. Then one rainy Saturday afternoon, my mom called. "Rebecca, would you come over for dinner? Your dad and I. We want to talk." I hesitated. "About Olivia?" "No," she said softly. "About you." That evening, I sat across from them in the same dining room where I'd once been scolded for not saying grace fast enough. The same table where Olivia once spilled grape juice all over my science fair poster and laughed like it was a joke. Now, my parents looked older. Wearier. But also, finally, awake. "We owe you more than an apology," Dad began. "We owe you accountability. For believing lies. For doubting you. For not seeing what was in front of us." Mom nodded. "We failed both of our daughters. Olivia, by enabling her. And you, by expecting you to carry all the weight without recognition." She reached into a drawer and handed me a sealed envelope. "What's this?" "Your college fund," she said. "What's left of it?" "We thought it was gone. But there was still something in the old investment account your grandfather started. We want you to use it to finish your degree. No conditions. No strings." Tears blurred my vision. "Thank you," I whispered. Dad leaned forward. "We hope you'll come to family counseling with us. Not just to heal, but to rebuild. We know it won't be quick. And it won't fix everything. But we want to earn your trust again." For the first time in months, I believed them. Later that night, as I drove home through the city lights, my phone buzzed with a message from Jessica. "Want to run the finance club project with me next week? I told the dean you'd be perfect." I smiled. Yes, my family had cracked. But somehow, through the rubble, I was finding my way forward. One step at a time. It's strange how quickly life can pivot from chaos to clarity, not because everything is fixed, but because you finally learn how to breathe again. Spring arrived with a burst of energy, and with it came something I hadn't felt in months: peace. Not the naive, everything's fine kind. This was the gritty, hard-earned kind. The kind you reach after fighting for yourself when no one else would. The trial didn't happen. Instead, Olivia's case moved forward through a court-mandated diversion program. It included intensive therapy, addiction counseling, and financial restitution. She was required to meet weekly with a case officer, submit monthly progress reports, and work a part-time job to begin paying back the money she stole. There was no courtroom showdown. No grand confrontation. Just accountability, at last. And that was enough for me. I didn't attend the hearings. I didn't need to see her seated at a defendant's table, shoulders curled inward like a child. I'd already witnessed the worst of her that night in the casino. That image was etched into my memory like frostbite. What mattered now was me. Rebuilding wasn't easy. My credit score took months to repair. Some companies were helpful, others, less so. But the evidence spoke volumes. Eventually, the fraud flags were lifted, and my record began to mend. With my parents' unexpected contribution from my grandfather's forgotten fund, I re-enrolled full-time at Denver University. This time, no more side gigs, just study and strategy. I applied for the honors finance internship I'd once assumed was out of reach, and to my astonishment, I got it. Jessica and I presented a financial literacy workshop at the campus Women's Center, using pieces of my story, carefully anonymized, to teach about digital safety, financial independence, and identity protection. Afterward, a freshman girl approached me, her eyes glassy. "Thank you," she whispered. "My brother used my name to open credit cards." I thought I was crazy. I squeezed her hand. "You're not. And you're not alone." It was the first time I told a version of my truth aloud, not as a victim, but as someone who had survived. At home, things shifted slowly. My mom and dad weren't perfect, they stumbled sometimes, unsure of how to be the kind of parents I needed now, but they were trying. They invited me to family therapy sessions, never forced. Just open doors and soft invitations. And eventually, I went. In those quiet, Tissue box-laden rooms, we unpacked the unspoken family roles we'd all accepted for too long. The golden child. The scapegoat. The silent father. The anxious mother. And me, the invisible daughter who had carried the weight of the family without ever asking for praise. One afternoon, during a particularly difficult session, my dad said, "I spent so many years thinking I was protecting Olivia. I didn't realize I was sacrificing you to do it." My mom added, "We were so blinded by her charm, we missed your integrity." Those words broke something open in me, not pain, but release. As for Olivia, she remained distant, by design. She emailed me a few months into the program. No long letters, no requests for forgiveness. Just a message titled Accountability. "Rebecca, I know I don't deserve anything from you. But I wanted you to know I'm in therapy. I'm working a job. I've paid back $2,300 so far. It's not even close, I know. What I did to you, to Mom and Dad, was beyond selfish. I told myself I was surviving, but I was stealing. I didn't just take money. I took your name. Your future. Your place in the family. And somehow, you still stood up for yourself. That strength I don't have. I'm sorry. I mean it. Olivia." I didn't write back. Maybe someday. But forgiveness isn't about her. It's about me. And I'm not ready to hand that over just yet. In May, I walked across the stage to receive my degree. Finance, with honors. The tassel tickled my cheek as I hugged Jessica, who whooped loud enough for the back rows to hear. My parents sat near the front, dabbing their eyes with tissues and clapping like I just won an Oscar. I didn't need their applause. But it felt good. When I got home that night, there was a package waiting for me. No return address. But I knew the handwriting on the label, Olivia's curvy loops, too perfect to be casual. Inside was a small wooden box. A key was taped to the inside lid. Beneath it, a typed note. "This is for the storage unit in Aurora. Everything I bought with stolen money is in there. Sell it, donate it, smash it, I don't care. It's not mine anymore. It never was." I held the key in my palm for a long time. Then I put it away. I'd decide what to do with it another day. Summer bloomed. I started a job as a financial consultant for a women-led nonprofit that supported victims of financial abuse and identity theft. My story, this long, aching journey, became something I could wield, not hide. I turned pain into power. One afternoon, as I walked through the park near campus, I spotted a little girl playing with her younger sister on a bench. The older one handed her sibling a juice box, wiping her mouth gently like a parent might. The younger one smiled like it was the greatest gift in the world. That moment stuck with me. Because sisters can destroy you. But they can also protect you. I once had a sister who stood up to bullies for me. Now, I was learning to stand up for myself. They say family is forever. I'm not sure that's true. But the family I'm building now, the version that includes honesty, boundaries, accountability, and actual love? That's the kind of forever I believe in. And I've finally claimed my place in it.